Welcome back to another episode of Music is My Mantra. Today I have a very special guest, Madhu Das. Madhu is a wellness practitioner, a former monk turned life coach. We're going to learn all about your work today. So welcome to the show. Thank you for taking the time to make it to Jamtasia.
What a cool spot too. I wish you guys get to see it a little bit, but gosh, this spot, it's like,
there's a lot to take in.
In modern vernacular, they say the vibes are immaculate. Happy to be here, happy to explore some practical topics that I really think will be helpful, especially anyone listening who wants to make life a little bit easier.
Yeah, so you are a podcast host and also a musician, and we connected because I asked you, how does music play a part in your life? Because I actually didn't see that on your Podmatch bio. Sure. And it turns out that you are multifaceted when it comes to different instruments, right? You've been playing and singing since a very young age. And so tell us a little bit about how you grew up, because you have a very unique upbringing.
Definitely strange. Yeah, well, trumpet was my first instrument.
Awesome.
And so when I was 10, and that kind of opened up a world to the language of music. So I imagine a lot of musicians who are listening to this, you understand that it's a different type of language. Mm-hmm. And so what it did is, I would say it's opened up my awareness to different ways to express myself. And as a 10-year-old with who knows going what through my mind, it's nice to have some healthy way to express my creative side. Mm-hmm. And so from there, then I picked up a little children's guitar, fiddled around with some online videos, and then to piano and like that. And then eventually by the age of 12, 13, my parents put me in lessons and, just grew from there.
What was the first lesson that you had? Like which instrument?
Piano, and with some vocals. Yeah,
cool.
And I did that for about 3 years. Yeah, I think 12 to 15 approximately. I studied like classical piano, and that's really where everything opened up so much.
Yeah.
More substantially.
Great instrument to start with.
Exactly. It translates
such a foundation.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then when I was 16, that's when I started, let's say, stepping outside of just traditional music, whatever I was listening to, just playing Red Hot Chili Peppers or Led Zeppelin or whatever it might have been. And my parents, so my father specifically, growing up, he had traditional Indian instruments, kind of like you see a sitar behind us. We had a harmonium.
Such a beautiful instrument.
Cool, right?
Yeah.
Cool, eclectic instruments, because he did kirtan. For those of you not familiar with the term kirtan, it literally means musical meditation, and where we use mantras, hence the, the name, exactly, where we use traditional mantras to not only calm the mind and really settle the nervous system, but it's actually chants to divinity to reawaken the supreme consciousness within. And I thought that was the weirdest thing in the world. I was like, leave me alone, let me play my music with my guitar and my piano.
Rock and roll.
Yeah, leave me alone with your weird spiritual stuff. But when I was 16, my father said, I'll give you $100 if you read the Bhagavad Gita, which is, for those unfamiliar, one of the world's oldest written literatures on philosophy, spirituality. And it started to, I was like so not into it, but I really needed the money. I really needed the money. And then once I read the Bhagavad Gita, at that point I was like, okay, there's something to this. Like I understand, it just talks about the nature of the self, that we're eternal beings, that we are inherently spirit. I mean, that's what we are. We're spirit inhabiting a biomechanical meat suit robot, biomechanical robot of sorts. And I thought, well, there's something in this. I don't know what it is. So I was like, all right, I'll do this weird little mantra stuff with you. And he would play his harmonium.
Started by humoring him.
Yeah. I was like, all right, there's something. I wouldn't even take the money after I read the Gita because it was so illuminating.
Wow.
It was so illuminating to me.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, there's something to this. And honestly, I'd been searching different philosophies, theologies, and I'd never found anything so holistic. It was more like just like generalities, but never anything so specific where it's like, this is what a soul is. This is what a unit of consciousness or a self or a soul is. This is what the material nature around us is. This is what divinity is like. This is how they're interconnected. This is what dharma or purpose is. This is how one acts in this world, and then the karma or the actions that, the reactions that come from the things we do. And we clarified all these aspects from karma to reincarnation, and I thought this makes so much more sense than everything else I'd learned. So that's what got me into the musical element of kirtan, and the rest was history. From there, I drank the Kool-Aid, as they say.
And so you started playing kirtan with your dad, and have you continued that, or when did it start to really become your own practice?
Well, like I said, 16, I was like, all right, I'll humor. And then by the time I was 17, I was like hook, line, and sinker. There's something to the mantras because I'd been playing music my whole life, and I was like, it's beautiful. It's a language of expression, but it took it to another level for me where it was like, not only did it make me feel good, there's a way in which, of course, it feels good, but even music could do that. But there's only so many times you can listen to any one song. You know, you have your favorite song when it comes out, and you're like, oh, I love this song. You listen to it a couple times a day, and then the next day you listen to it again, and the third, fourth, and after like a couple weeks, you're like, never want to listen to a song ever again. It is possible to overplay.
Years down the road.
And then you got to like,
like
at least a couple of weeks, a couple months, and then you're like, okay, I can listen to that song again. Yeah, because there's a way in which it's overplayed. And so what kirtan did is it opened up a level of understanding. When we talk spirituality, it's such an elusive topic. People talk about, spirituality, very enigmatic terms, but literally it's of the nature of the self, the spirit, the unit of consciousness, the us inhabiting the body, the us that witnesses the mind and the body change, that is the observer of the fluctuations of the mind, the observer of the daily cellular changes of the body.
Yeah.
And so they say that just like when you're chewing a piece of bubble gum, the more you chew, the flavor's gonna leave, especially these newer bubble gums. It's like you get a couple chomps and it's like starchy. Anyway, and so some sounds, even my favorite songs, you chew on them enough, it's like the taste is gone. But kirtan unlocked something for me where it was like, no matter how many times you chanted these ancient mantras, which endless hundreds of millions, if not billions of people have chanted over the space of at least the 5,000 years it's been recorded. At least 5,000 years. Wow. And even in the recorded literatures, it says, this ain't no new thing. And so we know at least many hundreds of millions, if not billions of people have practiced this. And why are they still chanting the same mantras? Okay, there's got to be something to it. Yeah. And then they say, the way you know something spiritual is it resonates with the self. It has the opposite effect. The more you chant it, the more you develop a taste for it. To remember. Yeah. Yeah, and there's a way in which I was having the opposite sensation. The more I would chant these mantras, not only would I not fall out of love with them, like I was on my favorite Nirvana songs. I can only listen to them so many times, But with the mantras, at first it was nice, but then it got nicer, and then nicer, and then the taste developed. Yeah. And so over time, by the time I was 17, I was like, there's something to this. And 18, I was like, okay, this is my life. And I just, whatever I can do for anyone to get an experience, just a little taste of what this relief from the suffering of the mind and life feels like. Cool. That's what kirtan provided me. And that's just scratching the scratching the surface.
Yeah. So how did that translate? Obviously you were having this inner awakening, if you will, or moving towards this feeling of deeper understanding within yourself. When did that translate into you wanting to help others? Obviously, when you're playing music, you are helping them. Absolutely. Just by performing, but now you have this full business where you're helping people through coaching and through mindset work and understanding more. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so because of the mantra meditation and the kirtan and learning some of these ancient literatures, on my 18th birthday I shaved my head, became a monk, which is what most 18-year-old boys do. And the alternatives weren't exciting. I went to. Started going to college when I was 16. Not because I was smart, but I wanted to get the hell out of that place, that high school. That was just... That
was me for college.
Yeah.
I graduated early. I was like, I'm done.
Yes, same. I was like, get me out of this place. And so I'd been going to college, and would become an occupational therapist. I always liked the idea of just helping people heal, get better. And it didn't fully scratch an itch. And I thought to myself, as I was learning these ancient literatures from the East, I thought, I have this time now where I'm physically capable and able to dedicate my time and my life to something bigger than myself. And I always liked the idea of the military, even though it was never my nature to, like, I wrestled, and I was always like, every time I would do, I was, are you okay? I'm such a gentle kind of individual that many aspects, for various reasons, of the military, even though I was excited by it, it didn't make sense, but I always liked discipline, because I was very undisciplined. And I knew, I was like, if I don't do something about this now,
you're never going to kick it.
Exactly. My life's going to be so difficult. Yeah. And so I thought, let's take some time for sense control, to learn sensitivity, to learn how to actually control the mind. And I saw so many people who did control the mind. The greatest atrocities we see in life are people with uncontrolled mind and senses. I was like, no thanks. Don't want that. So let me take a little time. So, I moved into a monastery, mostly half the year in India, and then my visa would up every 180 days, come back to monasteries in the U.S. and would flip-flop every 6 months for the course of 5 years. And so doing that, what I learned was, once I learned how to fortify myself spiritually in a place where I felt like, okay, I'm not being pulled by the mind in every direction, then the natural when you taste something good, all you want to do is tell everyone about it. Like, oh, I
Yeah.
gotta try this. And so we would go out to universities, go out to different places and teach meditation to anyone who would be willing to listen.
Cool.
And that's where the mood of service sprung up, so that when I graduated the monastery after 5 years and became normal, if that's what, I don't think anyone called me normal.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone called me normal, but grew hair again at least. No more orange robes. That's where I thought, okay, how do I translate what I learned, the joy of service, which is so counterintuitive. We think the more I get, the happier I'll be, but it's actually contribution is, I've never felt the happiness and satisfaction and purpose that comes from being of service. So I thought, how do I translate this into a way I can actually live in this world? Because I need a little money.
Right. You get back in the States, back
That's
in
right.
California.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, I need to survive. But I had no experience making money. I had no experience. The most I ever made, I was a lifeguard.
Okay.
From the age of I helped my dad at his art gallery a little bit. He managed an art gallery. I helped him a little bit there. Lifeguard in the summers. So I made like $7 an hour.
Wow.
And the most I had ever had in my bank account was maybe $400 from the time of my whole life until, and my very simple, very humble kind of upbringing.
Yeah.
Always had the necessities, but never much more than that. And so I thought, okay, I got to learn this whole money thing. And that's when I spent a bunch of time developing research and creating a wellness business so that people don't have to shave their head and move to India to have to learn how to control the mind and be peaceful. And I'd also study Ayurveda, for those unfamiliar, an ancient holistic practice, which kind of dovetailed my occupational therapy desire with the spirituality.
Yeah.
So I was sharing holistic health through an ancient lens of Ayurveda there. And then I merged the two through a mindfulness and holistic coaching business. Grateful to say through the best teachers and spending a lot of time, money, resources, energy, education, learned how to actually create a successful business. And then to kind of actually answer your question, all that led to this idea of about 4.5 years ago. So many other friends who wanted to run businesses, they were great at what they did, but no money.
Yeah.
And I knew how hard that was to want to contribute but not have anything to prove for it, of sorts, not be able to struggle in this life. So that's when I started the marketing agency, Conscious Marketing Agency, so that other people who were great at what they did didn't have to suffer in the way I did to try to recreate the wheel, figure this out. Because for about 2.5 years after graduating the monastery, it was like I was so below poverty line. Literally, my wife and I, before we were married, but would ration zucchini. It's like, no joke. It's like, all right, we're gonna have this with like some rice for lunch. We have this, and always eat, going other places like Fred's to eat, just to like save as much as we could. So I know the struggle that comes with that. So our marketing agency was so that other health and wellness experts did not have to struggle to actually be successful in their business. And that's how it translated.
How were you were like helping them develop the marketing side of it or the business?
All business operations. So it's like, how do you actually package your services in a way where people understand them? Because so many experts, there's a whole jargon. It's like they know what to do, but it's so inaccessible. It's like whatever that means. Exactly. Yeah. And so first, how do we even communicate, translate that to people who want help but don't know you're the solution to their problems? And then how do we actually market in such a way to people to get to know, like, and trust you? And then even, we call it conscious closing. How do you get people to buy without ever having to use like sleazy, salesy, we call it bro marketing tactics. Everyone watching, the ads you see all, hey, today.
Hey, bro.
Yeah.
Or like in all the women like, is your business?
Yes.
Like, oh my gosh, it's like
$1 million next 30 days or we pay you $1,000. It's just like, everyone's like, give me a break. So it's like, how do we not come off as like sleazy car salesmen, but still make good money doing it? And so we call this conscious closing. So it's a whole business operation side, so that, again, it's just so that it started with people I love and care about, didn't have to struggle as much as I did. And then somehow I'm very grateful that through what I've learned from many teachers of developing business, we grew that into a very successful operation that somehow or other we have 300 plus people now that we've gotten to help grow their either start and grow, or if they came to us doing okay, actually build something sustainable.
Yeah,
like that. So
that is huge.
I feel very grateful somehow or other that's happened.
Yeah. What were some of your very first clients? Like, what kind of wellness work were they doing?
It was almost exclusively other Ayurvedic practitioners.
Oh, okay.
Because it was my friends who were offering Ayurveda, and they thought, everyone came to me and was like, Madhu, how are you making money doing this? Like, how are you not, especially because they saw me. Yeah. Well, it wasn't obvious that I was making nothing, but it was very clear I was not thriving in any way, shape, or form. Anyone who knew me or saw me, it was like a very, very, literally we
first
lived
were
in a place.
starting?
The first like 2.5 years where I didn't know what I was doing, wasn't getting the proper help.
Yeah.
I was trying to reinvent the wheel. I wasn't going to the people who've done this before.
Yeah.
And so, it was a very simple, like we literally called the place that we lived a dungeon. It was a basement floor level, super small, a few hundred square feet, just tiny little place with garden windows, no fire exit.
Oh my
God forbid.
gosh.
It was very humble.
Yeah.
And so people knew that. So as soon as I started picking up, and it's like, wait, how'd you get that
You
car?
moved out of the dungeon.
How did you get to move in that house?
Yeah.
Not necessarily. I didn't have to talk about it. It's just inevitably people were like, what are you doing? How are you living here as a practitioner?
Yeah.
And teaching mindfulness and like driving a Tesla. How do you do that? And so I was just helping people who are in a very similar space, and I'm just grateful to say that it worked very quickly. I remember the first 3 to 5 people that helped, just in a matter of a month or two, just everything exploded.
Yeah.
And then inevitably,
and then
people
you were helping more
talk, and
people
then-
because their people were helping other people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're helping others, but then it's also they're telling their friends about, like, oh my
Cool.
God, you got to check this guy. Bro marketing stuff that you just learned. That get rid of it. There's
Yeah.
a new thing. Because again, I spent a lot of time trying to develop a system that still works, but it isn't. Yeah, it isn't slimy and salesy.
Yeah.
So inevitably, we grew actually exclusively through word of mouth organically for a few years, but then in order to scale that to a really substantial size, then we had to start adding on other methodologies.
Yeah.
And so that's how it progressed slowly but surely.
Awesome. And so today, what do the clients look like that you're helping, or who's your ideal type of client?
A lot of health. So we have half which are like health and wellness professionals. So we have everyone from MDs, that med spa owners, those who are very much in the medical world with certain type of psychotherapists have hard constraints of sorts.
Yeah.
And then we also have those who do their own thing, everything from doctors and practitioners of Chinese medicine, still Ayurvedic practitioners. We have, health and wellness coaches, nutritionists, etc., which they don't have the same regulations, so we can really expand. So half there, and then the other half are in very much the professional world, so we help them grow their own thing online where they're not bound by the same kind of, any doctors listening, some of the regulations make it very difficult to help as many people as you want in the way you want. So those are the main people we focus. The way I say is, if you're expert in improving the quality of life of someone else, then you just do that. Let us take care of everything else.
Cool.
That's the way we present it.
What would be, it sounds like you're a full service agency.
Yes, nowadays.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you're starting to work with a client, can you tell us a little bit about your process?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually give all our information for free because there's 2 reasons. Number one is the service method, as we talk about. It's like, I want anyone and everyone who wants to improve their life and improve the quality of life of others to have as much help as they can and want.
Yeah.
And then if they don't want to have to do it themselves, call me.
Yeah.
And, let me and my team help
You
take
heard
care
it
of
first.
it. Yeah. And the idea is just, so we give everything away for free. So I'll give the principles that anyone who's running a business, frankly, can, especially wellness business, but honestly, any service-based business that we've seen that is almost like essential for creating something sustainable. It's easy to make a couple bucks here and there, but to make something where you're like, okay, I know I'm going to get X amount of people in every month where I can sustain myself and build a team. Exactly. Yeah. It's like there's 4 steps that we've just seen work over and over and over and over. Honestly, even music. Interesting, we tracked a lot of musicians who are professionals that also they use music as an expression of sorts and stuff. Yeah. I'll use it in some almost musical vernacular of sorts as well, but the idea is there's 4
They're very similar
points.
in a lot of ways, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and a lot of people who are like me, it's like, there's a lot of time in the logical brain. It's kind of an old cliche now, but it's like you have the left side logical, and then you got to step outside of that to release and express.
Yeah.
And at least that's very much how I've always perceived it. It's focus, think, and then turn that part off so as to just feel and express musically. And I
definitely feel like I know I notice when I'm playing in the 2 worlds.
That's
yes. For sure. Yeah.
And it's like when you're trying to get creative, but this is still, it's like,
That's
okay, knock
when
it off.
the fingers, it's like the disconnect,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Absolutely. Well said. Yeah. And so there's a couple of different principles that we've seen just are helpful for everyone that I'm more than happy to express and share in brief. But ultimately what it comes down to, what I would say is, people just have to do what they love. Like everyone shoulds on themselves. Oh, you should. And because they see videos. Oh, if you want to be successful, you got to do this one fun. Anyone who says there's one way to do it, they just want your money.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So it's like number one is how do we just get you to fall in love with what you do so much that you can't shut up about it. Like to the point where it's like, wow, the person really loves what they like. That's always step number one. And then we could talk about the 4 pillars, which are, we call this the duh offer. You have to talk about it in a way people understand. Well, if you with a lead generation into the sales pipeline, that people talk and people are like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's like, hey,
unless you're like doing marketing all the time and you're already familiar with those
which
terms.
then you don't even need the help anyway, right? And so exactly. And so that people can just focus on what they want to do. It's like, how do we talk about it in a way? It's like, hey, stress? No one's stressed, right? Stress bad. Feel good, right? And I'm totally jesting. But the idea is we number one, we have to make the offer. We call this a duh offer. It has to be a duh for you and for your ideal client. So when people say, they go, duh, of course I want this.
Yeah.
And then once the messaging and once your offer's dialed in, then we could talk about, again, marketing's real easy. Just how do you get people to know, like, and trust you? That's it.
Yeah.
Just to know, like, and trust you. And so we create what's called the jacuzzi method. You guys are going to get a kick out of this.
Okay.
Because, a cold lead, which means somebody doesn't know who you are or anything about you.
Gotta warm them up.
Yeah, and so you create a jacuzzi, a place where they can get in. And they go, this is nice. And it warms them to a warm lead. They get to say, I know this person. This is nice. Eventually to a hot lead. You get so hot in the jacuzzi, you have to get out and get into the pool, the main offer, the main service. You have to make it so it's just a natural sequence. It's like, oh, you can solve my problem, and I like you enough to try this on for size. And there's various ways to do that through marketing. And then, like I said, conscious. You got to get people to say yes who want to say yes, but the ones who want to say no, you got to help them say no. And you make that a really crystal clear streamline.
Yeah, you want to be finding your ideal clients.
Yeah. And never trying to twist arms.
Yeah.
No one's happy if you're doing that. And then eventually the 4th step is what we call internal and external systems. So we have the monk mindset method, which is the reason people don't have the success they want, and not even just money, but like in anything, in their health, in their relationships, in their music career, whatever it is there's always limiting beliefs that have been implanted from themselves or usually from others, that those seeds have been watered for many, many years.
Yes.
And our job is to strategically get in, and this is, again, what I spent years as a monk doing. Arguably, this is my favorite part because you get into the subtle aspects of the mind, and you work through the limiting beliefs to make internal systems that are actually going to work with the external world you're trying to create around you. And then the external systems of actual like tech and how do you have all the
you help
automations.
With that as well.
Exactly.
So when you're working with them on the mindset piece and the monk method, is that very like hands-on?
Yeah. Always hands-on.
One-on-one? Cool.
Yeah, but so I'm a
setting
big believer.
maybe?
Yeah, I'm a big believer of community and group.
Yeah.
I think no need to just have support down. Like I meet with people personally, we connect intentionally. We could scale more, but it's like, who wants to? I want to do what I want to do, and everyone's fine. Everyone's making more than enough. We're good. Greed kicks. Oh, I'll scale it. I get a bit, and then if people half-ass stuff, it's like I love what I do. I want to be involved until I'm going to do this till I die. 100%, no question. I'll do this until I die. Someone have to kill me to stop. And so I like to meet personally, do my thing, but also connect with other people that are doing it. There's no need to have to feel like you're on alone.
Yeah.
So many entrepreneurs and
huge.
business owners feel that way. It's like being a musician if you have no other musicians. Like,
yeah. Oh my gosh, it's the worst. I mean, it feels good for a minute, but then you're like, now what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And isolation doesn't help anything. And so, we like to have everyone connect as well as getting some support with me. And then ultimately, again, just get out of the things you shouldn't be doing. Like, if you're a musician, be a musician. You don't have to become a marketer. If you're an Ayurvedic practitioner, be an Ayurvedic practitioner. You don't have to become a marketer. You don't have to become an expert in sales. Like, no need to have to figure it out.
You can find the right team. Well, you guys
exactly.
are the right partners in that sense, right?
100%. Yeah, we don't ever do any like done. It's not like you're not involved. You have to be involved. Every step you have to understand why. You can't be in the dark. It has to be authentic. Otherwise, it's like, who wants another cookie cutter? Even if it does make money, which sure, we could theoretically make anything make money, but it's like, we want to find the thing that you're meant to do in this world, that innate divine gift that you have, and get you spending as much time doing that and as little time doing anything else, but still being aware of it. The way I always explain is, you have to be aware enough so if your whole team quits tomorrow, you're fine.
Yeah.
Everything's still, exactly how things have to go on.
Yeah.
That's the idea of sorts.
Cool. I love that. How long have you been building that now for?
4.5 years that we do in the marketing side. Maybe 4 officially, because there was a transition period. Ultimately, what happened was there was a cap to how many people I could personally help for holistic health. And because I was helping people individually with their health for years, and which is perfect and amazing. But what I realized is there's a certain amount of people I can work with one-on-one, a certain amount of people even with group, where it just becomes a little too overwhelming for me, and I can't give people my full attention.
Yeah.
And so what I realized was I'm plenty good at both of those. Where can I be better of service? And if I could help one person who's going to help the health of 100 other people, it's arguably more, it was more worth my time, because it's just, I could help more people this way ultimately. So if I help, work with about 60 people at a time, each of those 60 people will help a minimum of another 60. And in this way, it's exponential growth as opposed to just 60 at a time. So that's what inspired me to transition all of our stuff from just mindfulness and wellness to actually the
full
business
service.
side. Yeah.
So great.
And we do a lot of kirtan, mantra meditation on the sessions. Absolutely.
That's amazing. So is it like weekly, or just, are you every day?
Yeah, all day, every day, there's opportunities. Yeah.
So
and
let's talk a little bit more about the music and the kirtan.
There's different ancient processes. So there's no shortage of mantras. And for those familiar with mantras, and for those of you not, don't worry, or wait until you fall in love with some mantras. Everything in life gets easier. So there's no shortage of mantras, but there's a few mentioned in the ancient Vedic literatures. For those not familiar with the Vedas, they're the oldest written literatures in the world. In terms of recursive language, the oldest written literatures we have, dating back approximately 5,000 years. And they teach different, various types of mantras. And there's certain mantras, there's one in particular called the Maha mantra, or the Maha in Sanskrit means great. And there's different mantras, different purposes. And so there's mantras for material gain, there's mantras for spiritual gain. And as opposed to having to memorize them all, which for most of us, we can hardly remember what we ate for breakfast yesterday. The particular mantra mentioned, which is, again, this Maha mantra, it's called like the panacea, with just what can be achieved spiritually. Again, there's material mantras for material gain, but for one who wants spiritual connection, there's one Maha mantra, happy to share it here. Most people listening might have even heard it at different points in time, because it's the most famous mantra in the world for history. And the reason being is that this way, instead of having to memorize mantra after mantra, our brain matter has not shown to get necessarily better over time, because with screens, our attention span has just consistently gone down and down. So it's mentioned that this Maha mantra, the Hare Krishna mantra, which literally, it's a call out to divinity, to Krishna, Hare. It's divine feminine, divine masculine. In the Vedic perspective, divinity is both. It's not one or the other. So you call out to the divine masculine and feminine in evocative mood, which means in a mood of, you're calling out. And it literally means like, please divinity, divine masculine, divine feminine, please engage me in divine service. Not just in the service of the self, not just service of others, but like, let me be a vessel of service and contribution to others, to our divine connection, etc. And so the Maha mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In the lineage that I came up with being a monk, that was the main mantra we chant. And traditionally, some people have malas. Sometimes they're just fashion sense, which is cool, but traditionally there's 108 malas, and you chant the Maha mantra on each of those. And it's mentioned in the Upanishad. Don't worry about fancy words if you're not familiar, just work with me, friends. Iti Shodashakam Nam Nam Kali Kalamashanashanam. There's different verses which talk about the Maha mantra as the pinnacle of them all. And one chants them on the beads in a regulated form. Just like if you want to get strong, you got to count your push-ups. You don't just go at it. You got to count your pull-ups. You got to count your bench. And so the same way you count, you say, I'm going to do 108 of these mantras every day, or 10 rounds, 100, whatever it might be. And we do that on a regular basis. So that was the training I'm in. However, all other mantras can be supportive of that. And again, it's counterintuitive. It's like, really? The same mantra? You're telling me you chant the same mantra, and the lineage I come from, it's actually 16 times 108 every single day. And it sounds, I remember when I was like, you're kidding me. You want me to chant this one mantra? 108 in itself is like, give me a break.
I mean, without the beads, if I was trying to count without them,
I
would totally lose track.
There is even a traditional way of doing it on a finger with the 12 little, anyway, but conversation another time. But yes, it's like, you need beads, or even like we have, nowadays in modern, we have little counters where you can, you can count them. Click, click, click. Anywho. But to do that, it was just insane. But what happens is, it's counterintuitive. It's unlike material sound. If you try to do Coca-Cola, 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 you're just going to go insane, and your thirst is not going to be quenched. But with spiritual sound, with mantras, there's a way in which, again, if I can't even close my eyes at night until my committed amount around it because there's such a, and it's not that it's easy every day, don't get me wrong, but there's this satisfaction that comes out of it because when you're associating with divine sound is non-different, right? If we're talking about divinity is, how many names are there, divinity? 10, right? 1,000? No, there's unlimited names, right? So we're calling out for divine connection where there's no difference than you are directly associating with divinity because if you and I are in a different room, I can only, coordinate.
Yeah.
If you can't hear me, we can't respond. Divinity is not bound by time and space. Therefore, when we chant divine sound, we're actually having direct association, direct connection. And therefore, there's such a flavor in it when we're chanting these mantras where it's like, if you're in a relationship and you love them, it's like, you don't want to stop hanging out.
Yeah.
You're like, you got to spend time with them. Otherwise, you feel like there's a lacking within. So that's what's developed over time. And of course, there's other mantras and other glorifications of these mantras that are helpful and support that, but we call out to connect with divinity in a very intimate way, and that's what mantra meditation is, specifically the Maha Mantra.
I love hearing it from your perspective because, you've studied this in depth, and, my yoga training was 200 hours,
awesome.
And that's it. I mean, I've been practicing since a teenager, but very much like, your Western.
Sure, the physical, which, big fan.
Yeah.
As a 500-hour yoga teacher, big fan. I still try to teach as much. We do it most days, yoga. Both together work really well.
I could see that.
Actually, asana would probably translate that, for those familiar with yoga, as a posture. It's like, what is an asana? But it literally means seat in Sanskrit. Asana means seat because all of these postures we do are meant to get the body prepared to sit and meditate. And so the whole purpose of the Ashtanga, or the 8-limb system where we get modern day yoga, after the movement, or we control the senses in different ways, and then we do asana, which literally means you stretch the body in such a way so you can sit down and shut up, do some meditation, and that's where the other advanced meditations come. So it's a very natural complementary aspect to the physical that naturally leads into the more metaphysical, the meditation like that.
I always definitely feel like it's way easier for me to go into a state of meditation after I do some
100%.
yoga. Or like I love journaling after I do yoga because I just feel like I feel like that's the time where if I'm trying to bring something into my reality, like
there's
to
just
write
space
about
for
it. That's when it is.
Absolutely.
I want to talk more about music, but I also am feeling like, so in your yoga practice, are you singing kirtan is that ever a thing? Yeah.
Okay. I mean, kirtan every day for sure.
Because most
100%.
time, like kirtan, when I have experienced it, it's like group setting. Like there's not yoga with it.
Sure.
It's like a separate. But
yeah, it can be. And so it's tough to obviously sing while you're doing an exercise. But playing mantras in the background like that. Again, it's more or less it's just when there's something that provides you so much peace, so much relief. In the beginning, it's a little tough because it's like if you're jaundice, if you have bile issue, sugar tastes super bitter because your biology is thrown off with an issue with bile secretion. And so when you're tasting sugar, it tastes very bitter in the beginning. But the medicine, one of the things to do to help overcome jaundice is actually eating sweet foods. So by eating, it's bitter, but then the sweetness develops over time. So in a similar way, because we've been so surrounded by material energy, material sounds, we become used to them, and the mind gets attached to them. So in the beginning, going to mantras is like, oh, my mind, can I just go back to TikTok or whatever? But then once you break through that initial barrier where the mind doesn't fight as much, it's like the flavor is so tasty, which is why then whatever I'm doing, if I can have a mantra going on in the background, life's just a little bit easier.
Elevates it a little bit.
Yeah, and it's good. And we, sound carries consciousness. We know this because even if while we're talking, if an ambulance drives by or anyone listening, an ambulance drives by while you're listening, your attention will be splayed. You're going to have to fight to bring your attention back to these words as opposed to the ambulance because sound carries consciousness. We hear it and it gathers our attention. It pulls it. So what type of sound what direction are we being pulled in?
Yeah.
Even amongst music, there's music that provides a sense of peace and relief. There's music that does other feelings. And of course, there's a place for all that.
Right.
But it's like, what do we want to be surrounded by on a regular basis? Stuff that's going to be uplifting or stuff that's going to give us nightmares?
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
So mantra, and the cool thing is you add mantra to any type of music. So like we're seeing a sitar behind, where you could do a traditional kind of Indian-esque sound, but we have a guitar here and we're just talking, I'll be doing a festival tomorrow with a guitar and keys and saxophone. So you can do any instrument. All you got to do is add the mantra because everyone likes music.
Yes.
Everyone like what style? That's 100% of humans like music. And so all you got to do is you just add a little sprinkle of divinity, add a little mantra, a little kirtan, and it makes everything all the more sweet. But of course, we also do our own music, and it's nice to express in vernacular that people who don't know mantras might become intrigued to one day learn about them.
Yeah. And so writing in English instead of Sanskrit.
Yeah, all of the above. And it's even sometimes people will blend it, do a song that people can resonate with, and then you go into a mantra. So people are like, oh, yes, okay, I understand. The lyrics gave me enough reason to try giving my attention to sound that's, again, unlike the majority of sound that goes in my ears on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Talk radio.
Oof. I wonder, do you have a song that you've written that you love or that you're really proud of that comes straight from mantra or was inspired by?
Yes. So there's one. It's interesting because it became the most popular, like on all platforms. It's by far the most, like substantially more than all the other ones.
Cool.
And I think it's because how much I enjoy. Like there's a way in which probably just the way I say it, you could
the
probably
joy
hear.
is just contagious.
Yeah, there's a way in which it's actually a traditional. It's called a bhajan. A bhajan it literally means a song in different, whatever language it might be. It could be in Sanskrit, it could be in English, it could be in Bengali, whatever it is, Hindi, any language. It's a song that talks to the points or like the philosophical understandings of transcendental sound or kirtan itself. And so there's this beautiful one called Bhaja Gauranga, and it's just I mean, maybe we could play. It's a sweet one. It's an earbud. You might listen to it.
Yeah.
It's total, what do you call earworm? Like you're walking around Gauranga, and it's a beautiful one. And so again, I didn't compose the actual, at least about a 450-year-old bhajan or like song about these mantras. Gauranga is literally a name for divinity, but I added a melody to it and kind of a composition just so that, again, people who might not be familiar might want to chant some of these mantras.
Awesome.
And it literally means, call out Gauranga, sing loud Gauranga, chant out Gauranga and these divine names. Anyone who chants these divine names, you have my heart and soul. It's just very beautiful.
Yeah.
Gauranga, go out and throw your hands in the air. And for somebody who doesn't know Gauranga, teach them Gauranga. Teach them divine chanting. Like, that's the idea. And so this one is certainly one of my favorites. That's
a beautiful explanation. I remember listening to that one now, and I was like, I really did enjoy
funky,
that.
Right?
Yeah,
it's very really uplifting. And again, the music itself would be nice, but then when you add that divine element, it's like, so one of my teachers would explain, it's like, you can have a lot of zeros, but they don't mean anything. If you can have 100 zeros, but they mean nothing until if you had a 1 in front of it, now you have an astronomically large number. But what is that, a Google? 100 zeros. And so in the same way, it's like when you add that spice of divine spark, which is, we are divine. We are conscious units, and we definitely don't come from nothing, because something can't come from nothing. It's just a grammatical mistake. So certainly we are of divine principle. And therefore, when we chant, when we add that 1, it's like all these attributes that have, all these qualities can be engaged. Music, which is so uplifting, when you add the divine principle, it's not only just feels good and uplifting, but it actually connects and reawakens a divine relationship. So, as you can see, I'm a fan.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, even without mantra, I've talked a lot about that on my podcast. Where when I say without mantra, I mean without traditional mantra. And for me, it's always been the way of devotion where, as an artist coming back to music, will still keep me on this path of discovering more about myself. And so that was sort of the inspiration for the name of this podcast. Plus, I just love alliteration.
I mean, what a great name. What a great, even when we first got in touch, I saw it and I was like, oh, all right.
Yeah, thank you. Well, before we go back to music as a topic, I have one question about meditation that I think you would be the perfect person to answer. So if somebody is listening to this podcast and they have a very busy mind, they're whatever it is, if it's stress or work or maybe they're just active.
Consumed,
what advice would you give to them?
Well, usually, whenever I hear somebody say something in the ballpark of, I tried meditation, doesn't work for me, I always say, you haven't tried the right meditation. And most people, they go to a kind of new agey Zen style where you're trying to empty the mind. Good luck. There is no version where you empty the mind. The mind is active by nature. So what we have to do with meditation, we have to give the mind something worthwhile for our attention. Because where attention goes, energy flows. Whatever we're putting our attention on, our life is going to move in that direction. So our job is to not try to stop the mind. It doesn't work. You're going to fail. Or, there's some other new age, it's like you got to become desireless. That's a desire. To become desireless, it's not going to happen. So we want to give the mind something positive to focus on.
Yeah.
And the reason mantra meditation is considered the highest of all meditations of the ones that are mentioned in all the ancient Eastern literatures is because it captivates all the senses. So traditionally, when you're doing a mantra, you're not, again, just emptying the mind, but you're giving, everyone likes music, right? So you're giving it sound vibration, which is, of all the senses, the most captivating. That's why we use if you try to wake up with an oil diffuser, it's like, it's not going to happen. You need because sound is what snaps us out of.
Oh my gosh, I've never thought about that, but it just makes me giggle.
Right? And it's like, even sound is even more important than light, you know, because even the eyes, they're the only sense that you can't fully shut off, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just such a strong sense. So therefore, we want to engage both the hearing as well as the sense of speaking, as well as the sense of, you can see and tactile sense. So all the 5 senses can be engaged through mantra meditation. And the mind is the center of the senses. Again, whatever we're looking at, listening to, smelling, tasting, touching, that creates a composite of information for our brain to develop and then act from. So the way we engage in meditation, especially if you're like me, you're like, gosh, all I want to do is quiet the mind and like learn to work with it, but I don't know the right way.
Yeah.
Mantra meditation is so helpful because, again, it captivates all the senses, but most importantly, it gives us something tasty. Again, if you try to focus on a flame, it's nice, it can be helpful.
Yeah.
But there's going to be, it's like, do I have to look at a flame again? Really? Whereas when we're chanting, we're using the senses, let's say.
The flame makes me sleepy sometimes.
Yeah, 100%. It's like I'm trying to meditate, but it's more like go
ready
to
for bed
take
now.
a nap. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
All the ancient yoga literatures talk about mantra meditation is the highest, is because it captivates the senses and it gives it something worthwhile to pay attention to. So, the cool thing is everyone listening, by all means, you can check out. Literally, if you Google mantra meditation, you'll get more resources than you probably could imagine. But even if it's one like the Panacea mantra, the Maha mantra, where you chant it, you can chant these words. And again, it literally just means, please, divinity, engage me in service. And we can chant in such a way, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Either louder than that, more quiet like that. What happens is over time we're going to notice, again, the mind chills, the body relaxes, but it does even more of that. It's tasty. It doesn't just feel good. There's a way in which you don't want to stop. People knock on the door, it's time to go, no, just 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes, please. And in this way, I would really encourage people, look into mantra meditation, especially and if that's even more difficult, kirtan, where you do it with others, with music in the background.
And it's so
like,
fun.
Oh, so fun.
People
give me something
get up,
more fun.
Dance,
exactly.
And just good energy.
Yeah, give me something more fun than that. People like to sing, people like dance, whether you admit it or not, you like to sing and dance.
Yeah.
And so getting together with other like-minded individuals, chanting mantras, I give you the burden of proof of trying to find something more enjoyable that will provide you a deeper sense of meditation.
Thank you. That was a great answer. Yes. Awesome. So I've never played music on this podcast, but I am so fascinated by your sitar that I think we might have to bust it out. But before we do, I always ask every guest if there is a song that has saved or changed your life in some way. And it could be a traditional song or modern song. There's no right or wrong answer. So it could be multiple songs. Yeah.
Well, again, I'm a little biased, as you can tell. But I will say there's one song that really stood out to me. My Sweet Lord by George Harrison, back in the day.
Such a great song.
Where he goes into the Maha Mantra. For those who are familiar, you would have heard it before. It's,
yes.
My sweet Lord, Krishna, yes, Hare Hare. And he goes through, my sweet. And it's just, I remember it was like, okay, there's something to this. There was a reason it was number 1 on the charts for so many. There's just something to, and even just the idea of calling out in a mood of receptivity to divinity, just kind of reawakening that. There's something beautiful about that. And then going into that Maha Mantra, there's something so potent about it to me as a young man, where I was like, wow, and he wrote so many songs specifically about. So George Harrison was a bhakti yogi. Funny we have a sitar, as we were talking about it too. He had some songs with the Beatles that he did, and he wrote many songs. Here Comes the Sun is actually a song about Krishna that he wrote for Krishna. Even a fun one is he wrote Something in the Way She Moves.
Yeah.
The original was Something in the Way He Moves, because he was talking about divinity. He's talking about Krishna, but the producer was like, that won't fly. You got to go to shade. Anyway, so he's always stood out as just somebody who's the epitome of musical expertise and fame. that had everything and then did what an intelligent person who has everything would do, and say, this is definitely not the end all be all. There's got to be something more than this, and turn his attention towards a divine relationship, divine connection. And on his last words were Hare Krishna as he was leaving this world from cancer. And his music has just always been so touching. I mean, what to speak of me, but one of the most famous bands in history, probably that will ever exist.
Yes, we're talking about the Beatles, by the way, in case you didn't catch on.
Yes, George Harrison. And,
yes.
And so that song in particular, but a lot of his music, and especially when you add that to some Hare Hare.
Yeah, actually, I do have that on one of my, I think it's something good vibes and prayer.
Yeah,
So, one of the playlists, it's like, yeah, that's a good
opens
one.
up a part of the heart and the mind, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you.
Super grateful to spend, it's running a podcast like this. For those unfamiliar, it takes so much time, energy, and diligence, and what to speak of putting something so beautiful together like this. Thank you for taking the time I can speak on behalf of everyone listening. We're so grateful for the amount of energy, resources you put into this so that we actually have opportunities like this to listen to uplifting sound. And that's what this podcast is. So thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me today, for making the trip all the way from Orange County.
That's right. A big old trek up.
Yeah. And I think we have a few minutes to
Should we break out some sitar?
Yeah, let's do it.
Should we do it?
I'm just going to ask if you switch your mic just to blue.
Let's do it. All right.
Actually, they both switch together. So
okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Okay.
So let's make sure I don't break it while I'm trying. And I'll have to, forgive me for putting my foot near you.
That's all right.
So the way that the sitar works is you have to put it in between your foot and your arm. So now I normally barefoot when I do this, so I'll be a little bit more gentle, but you can see how
I'll back it up here.
So you can see how it's literally hanging just between my arm and the foot, and then now forgive everyone listening if it's not fully tuned, but just to get a general idea.
Is this little
tuning
swan?
pegs. Yep.
That's it. Oh my gosh! This is a little carved swan. In case you can't see it, it's tuning. Wow.
Not fully tuned, but you'll get the gist.
Yeah. Wow.
Pretty cool.
So nice. I always thought that the sitar had like 26 strings.
Yeah, it's got. So we have, you can't really see it well here, but we have 12 what are called sympathetic strings, which we can try to get a little.
Okay.
You can kind of hear it.
Is that just for resonance under
for
there?
resonance, so that when you play, you can hear the resonant string.
Yeah.
And then you only actually play 4 of them, and then the top 3 are a drone sound, and then you fret the top 4.
Oh my gosh. I think I need to get a sitar now.
That's right. That's right.
Wow, so beautiful. And what's the tuning like? Like if I put my guitar up here, like could we play together?
Yeah. In a D major.
Okay.
I mean, it's actually a D, so it's a drone instrument. So for those familiar with music, so it's a 1 and a 5. So you can tune it to whatever. So this is pretty much to a D triad of sorts. So literally all of the strings, so the 3 playable strings are tuned to, it's a D-A-D sound.
Okay.
So D, D, A, D. And then the final string is actually, it's tuned to a G, but it's the one you play the most on. And so when you fret the 7th, which is like the main resolved note, that's where you're going to get that.
Back to 1.
Back to that 1.
Okay.
And then similarly, the high strings here are also a drone from A, D, A. So it's a drone instrument, so I could play in a D major, in a D minor, any other variation, or in a type of raga. Because your practice always going to have that 1 and a 5. It's like a melody. So we might say a scale in the West. Okay. A raga is like a set of notes where it might be like a 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 1 or 8.
Okay.
So it's particular notes in a scale where you have some sharps, some flats, etc. But it's a different kind of vernacular that they use in the East.
Cool.
Neat, right?
Wow. And was this part of your family? I feel like
no. I purchased this. Okay. I purchased this actually while I was a monk. I had an opportunity. I was in a place called Nabadweep in India, and I saw that. I was talking with someone. I said, "What would I need to do to get one?" And he was like, "Actually, there's one here. Blah blah." There's a whole situation, and it's insane because it cost $175, which at the time was like my biggest purchase of my life.
Sure.
But it was crazy. I mean, usually $1,000 depending on what you're doing, and so And this is my baby.
It is so
for
gorgeous.
What's it now? 12 years.
Is this one in particular, the carvings, like?
Everyone's different.
Yeah. It's just,
And this is actually a pumpkin gourd.
oh, wow.
Literally carved from pumpkin gourd. Crazy, right?
So cool.
With some ivory inlay and then a wooden fretboard and then some wooden tuning knobs. Gorgeous instrument.
Yeah.
Gorgeous instrument.
So cool. My gosh.
Not just because the swan's there.
I mean, it's so fun. Very cool. How long did it take you to, I mean, it sounds like the way you described it, pretty easy to play, actually. I mean,
I definitely, like, I play a lot of instruments.
yeah.
Definitely among the most difficult.
Okay.
For sure. It's like, it's
You
the kind
just
of one
made
you
it
got to spend
just-
some time.
You broke
It's
it down
like-
pretty similar.
Yeah. It's definitely not the first instrument to go to, per se. But yeah, it may, if you play some guitar, it's manageable, but it's a very
Sure.
different kind of experience. And
Yeah.
where, again, your left hand's completely free and you have to lock between your foot and your right arm. It's like a whole different kind of experience. Also, tuning it it's a to-do. So again, you have 7 major strings and 12 minor or sympathetic strings, and so you're looking at almost 20 strings. So
Wow.
tuning, it's a fun.
Yeah.
That's why I love you guys, but not enough to take the 30 minutes it takes to tune it perfectly. That's for sure.
So to wrap things up, where can we hear you or see you playing this live? Not including tomorrow, because this will come out in
Sure, of
a
course.
month or so. But in general, I know you're on Spotify.
Yeah, Spotify's
Yeah.
probably the best way.
Okay.
Spotify or any other streaming platform.
YouTube,
Yep,
anywhere.
and we'll get you all the links if you want to check it
Yeah.
out. And the main thing is, for sure, listen to the English ones if you want. But the only thing I ask from you guys is to check out some of the mantras, because you guys deserve more peace than you probably have right now.
Thank you for that.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Can't wait to do it again. Next time, next time you guys like this. Next time we'll do a jam.
Yeah,
That's
full
right.
on music jam. I would love that.
Thank you, Courtney.
Yeah, thank you so much for being a guest today. And for all the listeners out there, be sure to check out the links below. If you enjoyed this conversation, please like and share this episode. And we'll see you next week. Until then, stay healthy, wealthy, and wise. Bye.
Take our life.